there's a part of me that thinks that this area is, I don't know, like I think it's, since it's always heavily populated and there doesn't seem to be a really, at least in Virginia, there doesn't seem to be a really strong arts presence. I just feel like eventually, I don't know, I have a feeling that it's gonna pop off. And I don't know, I don't have any evidence for that, but there's so many government workers and IT workers. I don't know. I just feel like those of us and the people that we know who have so much talent, I just like don't think that's going to stop. And eventually somebody's going to be like, hey, like there's a lot of talent here. Why are we not taking advantage of this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been to, before I started in Chay, I met some people and we were just doing like open mic stuff. And the amount of talent that I've seen of people who have like barely any experience performing just get up and do something. It's like unbelievable. Like somebody, I mean, obviously I don't want these people getting taken advantage of, but it's like some like shisty manager would have a field day out here, like taking advantage of raw talent. I made a joke. I made a joke with this one guy who, he said it was his second time doing an open mic and he was like into was it Tyler Childers, I think, or something. He had a really great Southern kind of sound. And I was making that joke with him. I was like, y'all better be careful. Somebody's going to come here and take advantage of you. He's like, I wish somebody would take advantage of me so I can just get out there and get my face out there. I was like, man, somebody's got to do that.
Need the exposure.
Yeah, it's a big part of it. I wanted, oh, dude, so you're wearing a Hungry Bug shirt.
Yes.
How do you know them through Mike Whiteman, or is this like a separate thing?
Yeah, through Mike.
Dude, we recently sat down. I'm going to do all the talking in this interview, by the way. You're not going to.
Perfect.
I'm going to answer my own questions. You don't have to do anything.
Yes.
Really quick, though, we sat down with him because we want to do some recordings with him. Mm-hmm. And he showed us some of his recent stuff and some of his Hungry Bug stuff on his speakers. I'd listened to some of it already, but wow. I was really, really impressed.
Yeah. Their recordings, that album is fucking awesome.
I'm so stoked. And that album, I hadn't listened to all the songs, but he played one that I hadn't listened to, and I couldn't tell you the name. I feel so bad right now. But it was really good. And I have not seen them live.
You have to.
Yeah.
So much energy. They're super tight.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are they a 4-piece or?
3.
Okay.
Just guitar, bass, drums, and Chemo sings.
Nice. They recently played a show with Shrewdness of Apes, didn't they?
Yes, I was at that one.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I got to check out when they're playing next, because all of us, after we heard it on his speakers, were like, wow, we should listen to these guys. Because they were, I mean, especially the recordings too. We're all really impressed with how efficient and talented Mike is too at mixing.
Yes.
He took our Jam and Java stems from a show that we did a little while ago, and he just made them sound just incredible compared to what they originally. I mean, they didn't mix them for us, so this is not me bashing Jam and Java at all. They just gave us the
They just
stems.
give you the raws.
Exactly. And we don't know how to mix things, so we were like, oh, this sounds terrible. We're not going to use these for anything. And then Nick had the bright idea, why don't we ask Mike to mix them and just see like what they sound like? And we were like, whoa, we don't sound like shit.
Yeah, dude, Mike is great. I've loved working with him. We did our upcoming single that we're dropping at the Pie Shop show.
Yes.
With him. I've got the audio and the masters back. I'll play it for you sometime today if you want to hear it.
Is that something? Well, let me ask you about that. Is that something we could do here, or is that something you wouldn't want to? Or
so I don't want to like drop the track. Like I'll play it for you off air.
Yes.
But
let's do that because I would very much like
okay.
to. But let's talk. Yeah, let's talk about recording with Mike and. Gosh, there's so many places to start. I'm really curious. Let's rewind a little bit. Let's just talk about your like musical journey, and if you want, you can include kind of growing up in this area if you want, whatever you're comfortable with, or just kind of how you started in music. Like, when did you start playing guitar? Did you start in guitar? Did you start vocals? Like, how did all of this start?
So actually, my first instrument was piano when I was a kid, like real young, and I hated it, so I quit.
Done.
Yep. I think it wasn't the right time and the place or the right style or whatever. I wasn't into it. The passion wasn't there. So
Did your parents like force you to take piano lessons or something to that extent?
Yeah, force is a strong word, but
Sure.
it was like,
well,
hey, you should do this. It'll be good for you. And it was. So I can't fault them there. But the passion wasn't behind it, and it it became more of a chore than a fun experience. So let it go. Didn't really do music for a few years, and then I don't know, I was probably like 12, 13 years old, and I like really discovered rock music and was like getting into it and whatever. And then one Christmas there was a guitar.
No way.
I was like, okay. And then that kind of started everything.
Did you express interest that you wanted to play guitar, or was this one of those things that the gift giver just picked up on?
I think it was my mom taking a flyer on it.
Oh, okay.
Like she was just like, hey, you're into this. Like I wasn't like, I want to learn guitar, like specifically. I was just like really into the style, and I was like listening to a bunch of music. And I think my parents just thought, hey, this should be something that's in the house, and we'll see where it goes.
That's awesome.
And that turned out to be an amazing decision.
That's so cool. And what was that guitar, your very first guitar?
It was an Alvarez acoustic.
Wow, okay.
Nothing fancy, nothing special.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Nice.
Kicked it off, got me started, and yeah. Once I started doing that, it didn't take long to just get really into it, and then music was not a chore anymore. It was what I look forward to. And, that's the best way to get good at something, is to want to do it. Get obsessed with it.
It became play at that point.
Exactly.
That's so cool. Awesome. So you started playing for how long before you were like, oh, hey, like maybe I want to start playing with people? Or did you end up going to school, or how did that work?
So like in high school, I had a couple classmates who were at a similar like phase in their musical journey, I guess. So we started a band, I guess it was probably the summer between sophomore and junior year.
Okay.
I was playing bass because
no way.
My buddy was better than I was. So he was playing six string. But that was a lot of fun. That was like the first, real band experience, and getting, playing shows and recording, doing the whole thing.
Yeah.
Super fun. And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wait, you said recording?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Wait, you guys were doing that yourself, or?
We did a little bit of it ourselves, and some of it with some other friends who were, similar spot, high schoolers trying to learn how to do stuff.
Oh, wow. That's so cool. What was the name of your first band?
Swell Days.
Swell Days.
DAZE.
Oh, got it. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. That's actually, that's pretty good. You guys are ahead of the curve on band names. A lot of high school band names are just like very like, oh, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty good. That's actually, I like that.
Yeah. They all ended up going to JMU and kept it going. And I went up to Pennsylvania for college.
Oh, okay.
And so I quit at that point. They got a new bass player, moved on.
Oh,
but,
no.
No, it's all good.
The band breaks up. Well, now you are where you are, obviously. So
and like we all went into it with open eyes and knew it was happening. So there wasn't any hard feelings.
Were
about
you
it.
guys writing your own songs at that point, or was it just covers? Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was mostly Addison, the guitar player, who was doing the majority of the writing.
And how many of were there in the band with you?
It was a 4-piece.
Cool.
So guitar, bass, drums, and a vocalist.
And you weren't doing any vocals at that point.
No.
You were playing bass.
Not on stage.
You're like, no way.
Yeah. No, I would sing in my car, but no.
So
I did not get a microphone.
When did you feel like you're like, okay, I actually am going to do vocals and I'm going to feel confident singing in front of people?
So
is that skipping too far ahead? Do we need to like get to?
It's not skipping that far ahead. I guess it kind of comes back to the start of Careless Flight.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's talk about that then.
Yeah. So like after school, I moved back home and I didn't have a lot of friends, and, it's the post-college thing.
Dude, that's a lot harder than people. I'm sorry. I think people do know how hard it is, but they never talk about it.
Yeah.
It's a tough time.
Right.
Because you're just like, oh, wow, now I have no community at all.
Yeah. And you go from like being 22 in school and all your friends are right there and you've got that.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, move home. I think I probably had like 3 friends in the area.
Yeah, that's rough.
And it was like, damn. So
did you play music in college at all?
Yeah. It didn't really go all that far and it wasn't very formal, but I would like sit in with different groups and like play with people. Like we did some smaller gigs and stuff. I was kind of more just roving, and like if people needed a guitar or bass player, I'd sit in with them, but there was never anything like super organized or like long term in college, and I wasn't like studying music either.
Yeah. Got it.
So it was just a fun thing to do on the side.
Got it.
But yeah, so moved back home and stuff. That's like 2016, and then eventually I got connected into like the jam scene. There was a really cool place called Epicure.
Yes,
closed-
I've heard of it.
It closed down like a little bit after COVID. Like COVID just messed everything up there. But that was like the first place that I started like really going regularly, meeting a lot of people, getting my reps on stage. Like that did a lot for building chops and stuff.
Wow.
And like learning how to improvise with other people.
They how many nights a week would they do like these jams that you're talking about? Was it just once a week or?
So the one that I always went to and that I loved was Monday night. They called it Jam Monday. Do you know Kevin Pons?
Name
He
sounds
is
familiar.
Okay, yeah, he's still around this area, but he was the host.
Okay.
Like, really went out to make sure that it was a good thing.
Dang.
And like, Epicure was just a special place. It just had this special vibe, and everyone was really cool and into the art, and it wasn't about like egos or anything. It was just we're here for the music and the community,
Yeah.
and everyone was really into it.
Oh,
It was
man.
just a magical place.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so started doing that, and that kind of got me. That was my first step into like the scene around here.
Okay.
So did that for a little bit, started to meet some people, and for the longest time, I was looking for a lead vocalist to start an original band with because I was like, I don't want to sing. Like,
Yeah.
don't put that on me. And just couldn't find the right person where it clicked.
Yeah.
Like we tried jamming with a couple different vocalists, and yeah, like it was cool, but it never really felt right
Yeah.
for whatever reason. I don't really know why.
You say we, had already like started playing with some people from the current lineup, or was this
Yeah,
just like who all who's we?
It included Dave and Tony.
Okay.
I met them probably 2018, 2019 or whatever.
Okay.
And like we hit it off immediately. We'd jam and stuff.
Nice.
And like at that point, I was in the same house I'm in now, so we have that space in the basement.
Oh
so
my
like,
gosh, yeah.
We don't, it was pretty common on Friday nights to we'd all just invite our friends over
No
and,
way.
have a couple beers and play some music in the basement.
Wow,
That was a very normal thing to do.
You've been doing that for a while.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So Dave and Tony, so you guys kind of knew that you wanted to play together. You were planning on like doing some sort of a project.
Yeah.
And you were like, okay, let's find somebody to sing with, and you just didn't find anybody that clicked.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, pretty much. So eventually I was like, fuck it, I'll do it myself.
And what made you was it just because you weren't finding anybody? Like what kind of moved you in that direction?
Pretty much that. It was like I wanted to move forward and start doing something and start playing shows, and I felt like I just couldn't find the right vocalist to do it. Every time we'd play with someone, like it would be great, like, a lot of great musicians. I don't want to throw shade at anybody.
No, yeah,
but,
yeah,
like,
yeah. People who aren't musicians, I'm just going to wax poetical here for a second, but people who aren't musicians don't always understand what it means to like click with someone in the sense that you want to be in a band with them on a regular basis. Like people don't understand that it's like, dude, I love the way you play and you're talented and I love your sound and you're fun to jam with. But like, I don't know. It's like, oh, we don't necessarily want to be in a band together.
Yeah.
And it really isn't anything more than that. I think sometimes people think it's always like a fight or a personal thing, and it's not.
It's definitely not.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just kind of got to a point where I was like, I think I can do this. I've kind of, I never sang like formally, but I'd like had a little bit of experience in like choirs and stuff, and I'd always sing in the car to my favorite records and whatever. So I was like, I think I can probably pull this off, and at least I know what I want these songs that I have half written to sound like and feel like.
Yeah.
And I think I can at least move them in the right direction. So give it a try.
Yeah.
And here we are now.
That's awesome. That's really great. when you were like, okay, let's just start doing Careless Flight as we are now, and I'm gonna sing, and you booked a show, and you're gonna like, okay, we're gonna do this. How nervous were you singing in front of people for the first time?
Very.
Dang, what was that like?
I was just freaked out by it. I was
Really?
like, I've never sang into a microphone in front of people before.
That
Like,
was the first time at your first show?
yeah.
Holy cow, dude. Talk about taking risks.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I don't mean that as like you shouldn't have done that. I mean like that's really brave. Most
was a
people
leap.
most people I know will try like an open mic or sing for their friends before they do that. That's pretty dude, good for you, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was not brave enough to do that when I first started singing. Definitely not. Wow. I'm impressed. Did you find out like did you because I know early on when I started singing I was having a hard time tightening up in front of people because I would get nervous.
Yeah.
Did you ever struggle with that or?
Yeah. I would struggle with tightening up, and I would struggle with pushing too hard.
Yeah.
And just like over singing.
Oh my gosh. Same.
That still can be a challenge for me sometimes because I do kind of yell
Yep.
a little bit,
Yep.
which I think works well for our sound, but like there's a balance for it. And like sometimes if you're at a venue where they're not able to get the monitor levels up quite as
Yeah,
much as
if
you'd
it's-
like for whatever reason.
If it's hard to hear yourself, it's
Yeah.
game over.
Yeah, because then you start trying too hard and it just, overwhelms your vocal cords and
100%,
stuff.
yeah.
And you lose the stamina and you lose the tone and you get pitchy. That's no good.
Yeah. It's all downhill from there. Have you ever played at O'Shaughnessy's?
Dude, that was the first show.
That was. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
So the first Careless Flight show was at O'Shaughnessy's. We opened up for Red Medicine.
No way.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen them yet. The Chay guys always talk about them all the
They're so cool. I love those guys. But yeah, they just reached out to us like right after we had started and was like, hey, like we've got an opening slot. You want it? This was like right after COVID.
time. Holy cow.
Yeah, absolutely. Did the gig.
How did they know you?
So I had been, Michael McDermott, their front man, had been doing a backyard open mic at his place. It was like when COVID happened, all the venues and the bars shut down, and there was nowhere to go out and play with our friends.
Yeah.
He started doing his own grassroots thing, which was super cool.
Oh, that's so cool.
And then somehow the Golden Girls guys got involved in that, and then I started hanging out there and met all them.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so we did that show. It was, big time memories from that. It was, because I went in, I was like, this is the first time that these originals are getting played in front of anybody except for
Wow.
the three of us in the band. So I'm like, I have no idea how these songs are going to go over.
Yeah.
I'd never like sang lead before.
Holy cow.
And it's in Osho's, which is like one of the, I think it's the only bar I know of around here that you can still smoke in.
Yes.
So that's very helpful for your voice when everyone's just chafing cigarettes.
Oh my God. Like, why is it so hard to breathe?
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it went well. We were so short on material. We were like still doing some improv stuff.
No way.
Were
you like jamming in front of everybody?
little bit.
That's cool
Like-
though.
Like
That's
it was
very cool.
We had probably a half hour's worth of songs, but we're like, oh, we need like 10, 15 more minutes up here. So we worked in some jams and some improv and
That's really
some
badass.
random stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
And then it's all over. Like, I'm like, okay, that went really well. I was happy with it. I come off and Sandy Redmond holds up her phone to me. Sandy, you're the best, by the way. But it's just the notification that Taylor Hawkins had passed away.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That was that night?
Same night.
Holy cow.
It came out while we were on stage.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Did you know Sandy before? Okay, because was she going to like Epicure and filming people?
Yeah.
Or okay, for everybody who doesn't know, Sandy Redmond, legend in the area. She just shows up to shows and takes free video of the bands. It's unbelievable. Yeah, if anybody is a like an up and coming band and you play like an open mic and stuff, you might run into her, and it's just an amazing way to get footage of yourself. And she does it all for free. I want to get her on here and like just talk to her about her journey, because she's like one of the best people I know.
Yeah, she's awesome and an amazing human being. Like so sweet, so supportive of the scene.
Yeah,
like, just so into it, and it's just pure love of the craft and the people in it.
Yeah.
So,
There's like
she's the best.
and like I'm gonna really wax off topic here, but like in sort of like angel theology, like there's angels that are everybody has their own guardian angel, right? But like legend has it that like cities and towns and groups of people will have their own guardian angel, and I feel like Sandy Redmond is like the guardian angel of the independent music industry here in DC. Like I'm in incarnate form, she is like the manifestation.
Yeah, I could see it. I told her once she's the queen of the music scene, and she's like, no, goddess. All right, we'll go with that.
Sandy Redmond, legend, goddess. I love it. Oh my gosh. So I'm sure that took a little of the wind. Not that she was trying to take the wind out of your sails, obviously, but wow, what a way to come off your first show, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. It was just like so much emotions because I've always been a huge Foo Fighters fan.
Yeah.
You know.
Dang.
And
that's rough.
Yeah. It just like whacked me.
Right.
But
there,
I was like also like just high from this show.
Yeah. But overall, like the show itself, you felt like triumphant, like we did it.
Yeah.
You know, you got through it, you sang, the audience seemed like they received it well.
Yeah.
And it was like, dude, like now we're doing the thing.
Yeah. Pretty much.
That's so cool. Dude, so from there on, you were like, okay, so this is what the band is going to be. I'm going to sing, and that's how we're going to do it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Did you ever pull from your first band, did you ever pull any like influences or ideas or stuff that you had written in that lineup to help kind of fuel some of your Careless Flight stuff? Or was that all just kind of like, you kind of left that behind?
Kind of left that behind. I wasn't really doing a whole lot of writing with that project.
Oh, okay.
Like there might have been a couple ideas that, you know, I pitched in the practice space or whatever, but I was by no means the primary writer. It was the guitar player and the vocalist who were really pulling the weight there. So I didn't feel like they were my songs to take.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. How, for Careless Flight, are you more or less the primary songwriter in the band? How does the songwriting work with you guys?
Yeah, so somebody will bring in an idea. A lot of it's me, but Tony's written some really cool stuff too. And Dave wrote the like the structure to wavelengths.
Cool.
But yeah, we'll come in with an idea and kind of jam on it, talk about it. It'll evolve. It's very collaborative in the room once we kind of get started on something.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything we've written, I think somebody has had some sort of idea or whatever, and we all write our own parts, like the specifics of it.
Yes.
You know, like we'll say, okay, you know, dynamically this should probably like really build up here or like suck down or whatever. Yeah. But it's always been very collaborative, and those guys will come up with such good ideas. Like there are times that I'll come in with a song idea, and you know, in the back of my head I'll have a sense of what I would do if I was, you know, coming up with the bass part of the drums.
Sure.
But then they'll just, off the top, right away, they'll just play something. And it's like, okay, that blows away whatever I had in mind. Do that.
Yeah,
so like, I don't even tell them if I have something in my head for bass, bass or drums anymore.
No way.
They'll do something better than I could come up with anyways. So
that's awesome. So, and just for everybody else here, so the drummer is
Dave.
Drummer's Dave, and Tony's the bassist.
Yeah.
And maybe you said this already. You met them at Epicure or while you were jamming, or how did you meet those guys?
I met Dave at Epicure. I met Tony through our friend Franco.
Okay. And I was going to ask you this. I forgot. At Epicure, did you ever meet Grisha over there?
Yeah.
Okay. Because when I interviewed him and we were talking about Epicure, he was saying that was big for him as well. And I want to say Mike too, honestly. But I'm not sure. I don't want to speak for him. I don't know if that's how you met Mike, but
I think I met Mike through Franco. But I think like even if I met somebody through Franco, like I met Franco through Epicure, and he probably met them through Epicure. It's a whole thing.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. Well, it's very, all the people are very intertwined. Like every
Yeah.
time I meet somebody, they know, like, we all know each other already. So, okay, so back to Careless Flight. So you guys it sounds like you have a really collaborative writing process, which is really cool. How often do you guys jam when you practice? Is it like every single time or?
It depends what we're trying to do. Like if we have a show coming up and the goal of the practice is just get tight for the show, then we'll kind of just come up with a set list and run it,
Yeah.
as close to as we would on stage as possible.
Yeah.
Minimal breaks, try to move things along, get the cadences working,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
But if we're in more of a writing mindset, then there is a lot more jamming or like, hey, check out this idea, and then building off of that and, circle back, try it again, try it in different ways, see what works, see what feels good.
Cool.
Kind of depends what we're trying to do.
Nice.
A lot of times we start off our shows with an improvised jam though. So,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Oh, no way.
So a lot of times, even if we are just like running a set, like that's kind of the warm-up thing that we do.
Oh, that's really cool, actually.
Yeah. It's become less improvised over the years, I guess. Like there's a little bit of a structure to it, but the specifics are not nailed down at all.
That's really neat. Yeah. When you're playing the songs from your catalog or in your set list and you're doing solos, do you write out your solos or like do you play them the same when you're playing live, or do you improvise when it's live? Like how do you approach your soloing?
Depends on the song.
Really?
Yeah. There's some that are locked down and I play them the same way every time.
Okay.
Like the wavelength solo, I play it just like it is on the recording.
Okay.
Unless I mess it up. But
fair enough.
But like that one's written out, for example, and I do the same thing every time. There are others where it's very much freeform, and a lot of times I like to have like a ramp up and to like kind of get into it. So like I'll like start in the same place or like do an ascending line to kind of get into it, but then I'll kind of just wing it and play whatever happens. So
that's pretty
It really
cool.
depends on the song though.
No way. That's really, really cool. So people who are familiar with with your music, they might hear you play like a solo differently depending on the song.
Oh, absolutely.
When they see you live. That's very cool. I've heard that is so great, just like as a musician, to kind of stretch yourself. Because I've played with guitarists who are very meticulous about like I wrote the solo this way and it's always going to be the same way every single time. And then others, it's like I haven't been in the studio with them, but I have a friend who plays guitar on the regular. And when he goes into the studio, he always tells me, he's like, I don't know what I'm going to play until I go in the studio. And I'm like, man, that seems crazy. But I mean, that's the way he likes to do it. So.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of benefit to both. Like if you want to do something really melodic that really ties into some other aspect of the song, it's good to work it out.
Yes.
But there's also sometimes I think if you're just improvising and winging it, you can kind of capture the moment a little more. And sometimes it'll just have a little more spice or whatever it is. And coming from that like jam improv scene background, like I got really comfortable doing that, like with things that aren't even like arranged songs, just getting up there, playing and reacting to what everyone else is doing. So that skill set has been very helpful for me.
That's super awesome. So how many years total have you been playing guitar?
I think I started when I was 14.
Okay.
I'm about to turn 31.
Wow. Okay. So we're like looking at 16, 17 years, I guess. Wow. So you got some serious experience under your belt. That's great.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, pat yourself on the back. Come on. Cool. So Careless Flight, you played that first show. The music that you have out now, how did that come? How did you go about recording that? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
So we had a couple tracks. We wanted to get stuff released and out there, do the thing.
Yeah.
So we had some friends who had home studios and stuff. We did the first EP and the Cravings and Wavelength singles with Michael McDermott from Red Medicine.
Nice.
He's got a spot called Bad News Studios
Oh, nice.
that he runs. Awesome guy, great to work with.
Yeah.
So we did those at his place. And then this upcoming one that we're dropping at the Pie Shop show on April 18th at Pie Shop,
Yes,
DC.
that's right. We're going to do that at the end.
Yes. Oh, yes. So we did that one with Mike Whiteman.
Yes.
Just to try something different.
Yeah.
I've found that it's really interesting sometimes to work with different people because they just bring out different things. And, they're all awesome, very talented people, but it'll just bring out something different. And sometimes that can be interesting. Keep it fresh.
Yeah, 100%. But do you guys always rehearse at your house, or do you ever do 7-drum? Or see, dude, having a home to do that is huge.
Yeah.
I was just talking with Nick. I was like, we got to buy a house out here or something in Virginia so we can practice that. That'd be so convenient.
I mean, I need a roommate.
There we go. There we go.
But no, it's a great spot. I think there may have been like once or twice that we played in Dave's basement. But I've got all my stuff over there anyways. We've got a drum set. We've got the microphones all set up.
It's a nice setup. I feel like when we were jamming that one time, the acoustics were pretty decent too. So it's like, but yeah, dude, like I mean, I can't practice in this room, but it's like, it's like if you can get the room the way that you want with the sound, it's like, then you don't have it like ringing in your ears and all that nonsense.
Yeah. It's that, and it's got to be in a spot where you're able to be loud enough.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Like, I'm very big on you should rehearse at the same kind of volume and intensity that you're going to perform at.
Yeah.
Like, I've played with some projects before where it's okay, like we'll just hang out and practice with acoustic guitars in someone's bedroom. And like, that's great. But then when you get on stage and everything's loud and amplified, it just feels so different.
Yeah.
It's harder to just prepare to be used to that, I guess.
No, yeah, it's not even close to the same thing. Yeah, especially like if you're singing, excuse me again, it's like you got to know your levels, you got to be able to hear yourself. It's just like yeah, that's a whole nother animal. So you got those, it was 2 tracks you did with the guy from Red Medicine, or what was it, 3?
We did a 4-song EP.
Oh, 4-song EP. You
and
said
then
that,
then 2 singles after that. Everything we have everything we have out right now was there.
Was with at the, what is it called? Bad
News Studios.
Bad News Studios. So if you go online and you listen to those tracks, that's from Bad News Studios. So you should check those out. What am I thinking? So that's cool. And then and then how many songs? You're just releasing 1 single for the Pie Shop show.
Yeah.
And you just did that 1 song with Mike, or do you have others that you've done with him?
We tracked another one that's mixed.
Nice.
It still needs to go to mastering, and I don't have a release plan for it just yet. It'll be sometime later this year.
Okay. So you've done basically a total of 2 tracks with Mike.
Yeah.
Cool. So talk to me about, just talk to me about recording with him in terms of, did you track everything separately? Did you do something things live? Do you go to a click? Like, talk to me about some of that. Because we saw his setup, and he's got a great setup, and he was telling us,
cool ass setup.
Yeah, it's cool looking, and it sounds really cool. He was telling me how they were doing vocals in like the TV room upstairs, and then like drums downstairs, and it all sounded really isolated. Talk to me a little bit about how you guys decided to tackle it.
Yeah, so Tony set up some demos of the track. Tony is the secret weapon of Careless Flight.
Oh, okay.
He does so much stuff behind the scenes.
Nice.
Really just boosts the band. He's great. But yeah, he set up some demos like with programmed drums and stuff just in Pro Tools or whatever program he uses. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But so we use those as a reference to track the drums.
Okay.
So like Dave would have those in his ears, record the drum parts.
Okay.
So we didn't do it necessarily to a click, but it was to a demo that was like programmed and time aligned.
And that sort of the programmed drums that Tony had made, was that similar to the parts that Dave was going to play, or was it more just sort of like a beat reference?
He did a really good job trying to get everything there. But
that's kind of impressive.
Yeah, he did a really good job at it. On the other hand, Dave is such a freaking good drummer that like you're not gonna get all the little subtleties.
Sure, of course not. I mean, and they're programmed drums too,
right.
so it's like you can't replicate that.
Yeah,
but
and the point was not to make them sound great. It was just to have like a reference that we could go off of.
Cool.
So it worked perfectly for that purpose.
Oh, that's interesting. Wow. So you laid down the drums first, and then you did everything else on top after that.
Track the bass, track the guitars.
Cool. Do you double layer the guitars or the vocals, or?
Oh man, I don't even remember.
And also, if there's anything you don't want to reveal, like you
No,
can just say, "Oh, you have to wait until you listen to the song," that kind of a thing. That's totally fine.
That's all good. I think we probably double tracked the rhythm guitars. I don't know how much the second one is even in the mix though. That would be a better question for Mike. He would know better than I would.
He would, yeah. I'm sure he would know right off the top of his head.
Kind of one of the things we wanted to do though was kind of simplify the production and try to go for like more of a raw, semi-live sounding thing.
Yeah,
Not that it's ever gonna be the same when you're single tracking stuff, but we wanted to try to do as little digital editing as possible. Like try to, get sounds out of amps in the room through a microphone.
Yes.
And just go with that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the rhythm guitars are probably double tracked, but I'm not even sure.
No way. That's cool, because my next question was like, what kind of sound were you going for? Were you adding a bunch of layers on things, or did you want it to be more raw? And it sounds like you were kind of going for that more raw sound, which is really cool.
It's basically got drums, bass, the rhythm guitar tracks, and then like I dubbed a solo on, and we dubbed the lead vocals on.
Wow.
And that's pretty much it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How so let's say you go in there and you're like, okay, we're going to do one song. Roughly how long did that take all of you guys to do all of that?
So we did it over multiple sessions. So I'm trying to think back.
Well, that's fine. Yeah.
But,
if you don't know off the top of your head, then that's fine. I was just curious.
I don't think anything took more than a handful of takes though. At least for the core rhythm tracks. The solo for Monuments, I did not have planned out when we went in.
No way.
So it was kind of like you were saying earlier. We just played the track, and I just did a bunch of passes until we got one that felt good and had the right dynamics and the rise and fall and everything.
Yeah.
And then just kept that. But there's no punching in or punching out on it at all.
Oh, that's amazing.
I think I probably just played the solo 10 or 12 times or something, and we picked the one that that felt good.
And you didn't even play it the same way twice?
No.
Wow.
I can't remember what I did when I play it live now. Because there's some aspects of it that were like, oh, that's really cool. Like I should probably learn that and play it live, but it never comes out exactly.
I was going to ask you, like, what were you doing when you were, because obviously you played the song for people before.
Yeah.
Like.
I winged it.
That's amazing. And then now, do you think you're going to kind of copy what you did on the record, or do you think you'll just keep improvising?
So on that one, at this point, I'm kind of in a middle ground where I've got like a ramp up. Like I have something I do to get it started.
Yes.
And then I have so do that, kind of get into it. And then there's a part where I just kind of play faster and do licks.
Yeah.
And that changes every time.
Cool. Sick. Okay, cool. So, wow. So you had to do a couple sessions, like I'm assuming just like after work or something like that.
Yeah, I think we did the rhythm tracks for both songs on a Saturday afternoon or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And then I know we did vocals a different day, because after however many hours of sitting around tracking the rhythm tracks, I was like, I'm not going to sing right now. That's just not a recipe for success.
Yeah, that's kind of a lot, actually, if you're also doing guitar.
Yeah.
So you just came and did vocals by yourself.
Yeah.
Just one day.
And he set me up upstairs in the TV room. He was downstairs. It actually worked out really well, because I felt like it just let me explore the space a little more. And I don't know, there's something for me, at least when I'm singing and I've got a producer just like watching me.
Yeah.
It's like, I kind of wish it just,
No.
It's like, it doesn't feel just as comfortable and organic.
Yeah.
So
it's so fun. It's so fun with that setup. Obviously I haven't done it myself, but I could see it like it's almost like you're alone singing in your room.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
And
then
it
you
just
have an
makes it easier to like explore the space. So like you
Yeah.
don't feel like a dork when you're just like waving your arms in the air or whatever.
Yeah,
or,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
doing all that stuff. And I think that really matters when you're tracking. Because like live, you've still got some of the like the physical aspects of the performance and like the visual stuff. But when you're recording, that doesn't exist. So to get vocals, especially to like pop out of the recording, you have to like really accentuate things and like overemphasize certain aspects of it to get it to really like punch out. And for me at least, that really helps if I can just kind of relax, feel like I'm just singing in the car by myself with nobody watching me and kind of just explore the space and get a little loose with it.
Yeah, it's like they say, dance like nobody's watching.
Yes.
It's like sing like nobody's listening or nobody's, except Mike Whiteman's listening. But
yeah, but he's downstairs in the basement.
He could be asleep for all I know, and he just let the tape run over and over again. But I had a vocal coach for the longest time. She was absolutely amazing until she moved away, and she would always tell me, I'm sure it's different for everybody, but she would always tell me one of the things that helped me when it came to like not having tension was to incorporate some movement to help with that. And like maybe over enunciate things too, if it was just like, hey, you're being too stiff, kind of a thing. So I don't know. I think like what you're saying is, I think we all could do well to remember, like, if you can sing like nobody's listening, it's probably just going to sound better too, because you're just not caring. You're just like letting your body move. And plus, like, we're physical, we're embodied human beings, right? Like our bodies are not just like something that our soul lives in. They're part of us. So it's like, kind of embodying the song when you're singing. I think that is, and I've seen you do this on stage too. You do like the flight thing, and it's very like, it makes everything one. Like all the elements of the universe are coming together. Like there's the music, and then the feeling of the music and the embodiment of the people playing it are coming together into one thing. And it becomes more of a piece of art in that way, I think too. It's like when you incorporate all of it. And I'm not saying this to like shit talk anybody, but like we've all seen musicians, especially ones who are just starting and they're not very comfortable. There's like that tenseness of just kind of like playing. And we've all done this as musicians when we first started.
All been there.
Yeah. Like when I first started singing, I was just like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And you're just kind of hunched over. If you can get to a spot where it's like, like it sounds so woo-woo, but you're becoming one with the music. And it just, all your inhibitions, if we can get the inhibitions out of the way, it's always, especially in the studio, but that's like so hard sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. I've struggled with that a lot.
Yeah.
And like figuring out how to overcome that and just let it go. So like, it doesn't matter like if it feels weird or like goofy in the moment. You just got to embrace it and let your whole self just absorb into the music that you're doing and just let go.
Yeah. That was one of the, because we did a couple tracks that we're waiting to come out with Dave Mallon from Innovation Station, and he's got such a great demeanor, and like, I don't know how else to put it, but he's got a great like bedside demeanor. And so far as like, didn't take long to warm up to him, but let's like when you're working with somebody you don't know yet, it takes some time to warm up with them, right?
Yeah.
So I am really excited to work with Mike because I know him as a friend already. Yeah. And actually in 2019, before I started doing any music, my friend Brian, who's a close friend of Mike's as well, he and I are both actors. We were auditioning for a DC non-equity cattle call where you like audition for a bunch of producers. And we did our monologues for each other at the house. And Mike was there because Brian was living with Mike at the time.
Okay.
This was like in 2019. And Mike was such a great audience member, like, or not even an audience member. Like, he fully was like, I don't know anything about acting, but like, can I watch you guys? And we were like, yeah. And we were like, give us feedback just as someone who's just watching and is like, I liked this more than I didn't like this.
Yeah.
Because I think, and again, this is not to shit on anybody, but some of us who like are in the artistic world, since we know what makes better performances and not, we really hone in on those things. But sometimes it's nice to get just like the feedback of a layperson of like, I don't know, I liked it when you said this part and you delivered this part of the monologue more for whatever reason. I don't even know why. And that's kind of nice because it's very like primal. Mm-hmm. And why am I saying all this? Oh, I feel like I've had that experience with Mike already in the sort of acting realm, and I'm excited to like just experiment with him in the room since like those inhibitions are kind of already away since we are familiar with each other. And you must have like felt some of that too, since it's like I've known this dude and now I can just like experiment.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, he was so great with coming up with ideas, but it was never like forceful or like you have to do it this way or whatever. It was just, it was very organic, and the feedback that he gave was all very helpful and very positive, like well delivered. It was, yeah, very, very good to work with him. He did a great job.
And another thing that's really exciting about working with all of us in this scene is like we all are trying to do the thing and we all want to succeed. And it's like if we can all help each other do that, I don't know, it's like our own little, like Seattle or like the streets of LA, like with these bands that we all love. Like, I don't know. It'd be so cool. Like if we could all like, kind of get there doing, helping all each other out with all this stuff.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things I love about this scene is everyone is so supportive and so positive.
Yeah.
And I've never met anyone who's playing music in this circle who thinks of it as some kind of zero-sum game or competition where it's like, okay, if I can put these people down, it'll elevate me. Like there's none of that, which is so good because that's such a cancerous thing. It doesn't do anybody any good in the long term.
Yeah.
Like everyone just wants to make some awesome art and have a good time with their friends and like do it all together. And it's great.
And it's kind of, and I didn't know this. I think most places around the country do it this way, but I didn't know that like when you are setting up a show, you're kind of responsible for finding other bands to play with and things like that. And we all kind of know it's like, hey, like it really benefits all of us to do well because then we're all doing well and then we all get to play shows together.
Yeah.
And it's so damn fun. Like,
there's nothing like being on stage.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's the greatest feeling.
100%. I could not agree more. Okay. There's a couple of different questions I want to ask. Well, let's kind of go back to the beginning a little bit. You say that you started listening to rock music when you were like 13, 14 ish. What were like some of the first songs that like really made you like, oh my gosh, my life is different now?
I remember very early on, I got really into Tom Petty and Van Halen.
Oh,
Those
wow.
were like two of the early ones. Very different.
I was going to say, am I going to get like shamed for saying this? But like, those are pretty different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
They are, but they're both amazing.
Yeah.
And,
100%.
And I think now, like looking back, as a songwriter at this point, like both those bands just wrote amazing songs.
Oh yeah. Oh, like, Tom Petty's one of the great songwriters, 100%.
Absolutely.
He's proof where it's like you write a good song and it just sticks with you, man.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, but very different approaches. Like his are, if you think of them from like a technical guitar perspective, they're generally relatively simple chord progressions. It's, but the feelings there and it connects and it just really hit me. But then like Van Halen on the other side, everybody thinks of, Eddie Van Halen, the guitar virtuoso, which absolutely true.
Of course.
Love the man's playing.
Yeah.
But they could write. It wasn't just, look at me shred. It was these are good songs.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm going to, let loose on my solos because I can. But
yeah.
It wasn't just that. And I think a lot of people who came after Eddie Van Halen just saw the shredding and the virtuosity and kind of leaned into that, but they didn't have the songwriting to back it up. And that just never did it for me. Like if the songs have to be good or else nothing else is going to hit and deliver.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I think it really is important because I've known a lot of guitarists who are just so obsessed with Eddie's kind of playing and that sort of what you're saying, that kind of virtuoso style. I think some of it, sometimes it is missing the forest for the trees a little bit. And you're absolutely right. Like Van Halen's songs, I mean, I think about like, Ain't Talking About Love and like Panama and stuff, like some of the biggest hits. I mean, those are great songs, like unbelievable just as songs. They're catchy. They've got energy. The bass and the drums are just locked in.
Yep.
Yeah.
They stick in your head. They connect with you.
Yeah.
It's not just like 5 minutes of a guy shredding. Like,
Yeah.
that gets old so fast.
Yeah.
It's cool in little bursts.
Yeah.
Or when you can pull it out in the right moment and
Yeah.
like really throw a zinger.
It's so funny because Eddie is so flashy, but yet he's real tasteful about it,
Yes.
which is kind of a weird thing to say about Eddie. It's like, oh, Eddie Van Halen is so tasteful with his solos. It's like, but everybody does know him as being the flashy guy, but yet he plays when it's appropriate.
Yeah. And he's a fantastic rhythm player too.
Yes.
And, you know, during the verse and the chorus of the song, he's not going crazy and playing a million notes a minute. It's all just really good pocket rhythm playing.
Yeah.
And he excels at that too. I think that gets overlooked for the flashy stuff with him.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think about like that, the riff for Panama, for instance, is like, I mean, that riff is such a great rhythm riff as such.
Yeah.
It's not like, it's not something that like anybody just comes up with on the fly. Like it's got the offbeats and it's just, oh man, it's grooving. Like, to me, that is what makes that song iconic, not necessarily the soloing.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
It's that riff. And then it's, for that song for me, it's that riff and then the like little breakdown where it gets slow and then when David Lee Roth's all like, like get your hand, put my hand
reach down
between my legs,
ease the seat back.
Yeah, exactly. Which is not even like a heavy, crazy part, but it's just like song crafting, right?
Exactly.
It's genius. Yeah, that's really cool. And then Tom Petty, on the other hand, I know for me, and the guitar work, you might say it's not as complicated, but it's so catchy and melodic.
So Mike Campbell, his longtime lead guitar player, is, I think, the archetypal example of a guy who just plays the exact right thing at the right time. Every note that man plays was purposeful and meaningful.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it wasn't, you know, a million notes a minute. It wasn't Eddie Van Halen kind of flashy.
Sure.
I've seen clips of him shredding, and he can absolutely do it.
Oh, no way. I didn't know that.
Yeah, like check out like some of the live tracks from the mid 80s, like Don't Come Around Here No More, live from 85.
Oh, really?
He goes off. He's playing this Ibanez, like really colorful Ibanez guitar by the end, just ripping. But like a lot of his stuff, it's very melodic and it's very tasteful, and it serves the song. It makes the song better.
Very cool.
And I love that. And that was also a big influence on my playing, because it's like, okay, you can really do a lot with less, and sometimes it'll hit harder and be more purposeful, rather than just going up there and like, hey, everybody, look at me try to show off and like win the speed competition, because that gets old so fast.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Versatility is a big thing. And now that makes a lot more sense when I think about you saying, hey, I want to play this solo more or less the same as it's supposed to go for this song, but maybe this other song, it is more improvisational. Because if a song has a more melodic, maybe it's like the theme, the solo part is maybe like a take on the vocal melody, or it's like a theme. Maybe that kind of needs to stay the same.
Yeah.
But I don't know, if you are doing something more flashy, maybe you can improvise that.
Yeah.
That makes so much more sense to me, because I don't really play guitar. I'm trying to learn how to play a little bit more. I started on piano as well, and I still tinker around. But guitar is it's it's just cowboy chords for me. So like I love to hear the way that different guitarists approach it, because guitar was the first thing that I heard when I started listening to rock music. And even though I never really played it or anything, that was what made me gravitate. And even the solos too. So there's for me anyway, there's like a mythos around it. Like, oh, these wizards come in and they create music on this instrument and it sounds different to every person who plays.
Yeah.
So it's fun. It's so much fun.
For sure.
So Tom Petty and Van Halen, that's very cool. Out of those two, was there like one song like that you heard where you were like, oh, dude, this is amazing? It was like maybe one of the first rock songs that you listened to. It doesn't have to be the first. It could be just one that you were like, okay, like I said before, like this is kind of different now.
I can't think of anything that really stands out in that way. Not like really a particular track.
Was it like, Was it like when you were starting to listen to this music, was it more like the guitar? Was it more like the soloing? Was it just like, oh, I heard this song and I couldn't get it out of my head because it was stuck in my head? Like what was sort of like the things that jumped out to you about the music?
Yeah. I mean, definitely getting it stuck in my head and like, just this is cool. But
Yeah.
I think for rock music in general, it was more like the energy and the attitude like really captured me.
Yeah.
Because that's something that genre just does differently than anything else.
Yeah.
And I think that just at a point in, my young teenage years, like really getting into it, it hit right.
It just totally clicked.
Yeah.
So those were kind of like your gateway drugs to rock music per se.
Yeah.
Who are some of like your biggest guitar influences?
John Frusciante from the Chili Peppers.
Okay. Oh, you might have told me that before.
Alex Lifeson from Rush.
Yes. Yeah. We talked about Rush a little bit before.
I love Rush.
That's right. Yeah. Talk about, just as a quick little interlude here, talk about where you got the band name.
Yeah. So the band name came from a Rush song called Presto.
Presto.
Yeah.
Nice.
And in the bridge of this song, it goes, "Don't ask me, I'm just improvising. My illusion's a careless flight."
My what's a?
My illusion is a careless
illusion
flight.
is a careless flight. That's awesome.
And I thought it sounded cool, and I typed it into the interwebs to see if see how good the search engine would react to it.
Yeah.
And all I got was obscure laws about how not to operate an airplane.
Nice.
That's okay. No one's gonna get confused, so let's go with it.
That's a good sign.
Yeah,
Nothing
exactly.
music related.
Right.
Airplanes, check.
Yeah. Because there were like other ideas that we had, but somebody's got it already, or it's not unique enough to like pop out if you're looking for it. You'll just get a bunch of results of who knows what.
Yes.
So I think that's a big thing, is you want somebody to be able to remember it, first of all.
Yeah.
But also be able to find it once they do remember it and type it in, and not have to like sift through a bunch of irrelevant stuff.
Yeah, no, that's another. You seem to be pretty good. You're 2 for 2 on the band names so far. That's
Well, the first one wasn't my idea, but
well, you were in the band.
I was in the band.
We're gonna give you credit for it. So, that's
thanks,
awesome.
Addison, wherever you are.
And the other guys were like, when they heard it, they were like, "Sweet, like let's go with that." Or did you guys have to discuss a little bit? No,
it was pretty simple. I was like, "I've got this idea, and no one else is using it." They're like, "Okay." That works.
Isn't it so like in this day and age too? It's like the first thing you do when you hear a good band name, you have to Google it.
Right.
Because like, somebody's probably using this name. So.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many bands out there. It's like you have to Google it first. That's so funny. But you had probably heard that Rush song before you thought of the name.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, for sure.
And it was just like for that one time you just picked up on that line. You hadn't really thought about it before.
Yeah, pretty much. I think I was listening to one of their live albums. It was probably the Time Machine Tour live album or something. Don't quote me on that, but it was
sure.
Live Rush is just an amazing rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah,
they're one of those bands that the live performance just puts the studio work to shame.
No way.
Yeah, they're so much better live.
Wow. It's funny. I've never listened to any Rush live. I should really check that out.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah, you should. It's mind-blowing.
Isn't like Geddy Lee playing multiple instruments at the same time or something with pedals or something? I think somebody was telling me that.
Yeah. He's playing the bass. He's singing lead. He's got pedals on the floor that he can use to either play like MIDI keyboard stuff or like pull triggers in. And then he's got his synth setup on the side. So sometimes he'll just go over to the synths and
oh my gosh.
play the synths and
drop
sing.
the bass and
drop
just like
the bass and
that's wild.
Essentially do the bass part with the lower register of the synth.
Yes.
Yeah. They have so much going on for 3 people on that stage. I don't know how they do it.
That's so cool. Wow, I'll have to check that out. So you were listening to it was a lot. It was live.
It was definitely like a live Rush show.
Cool.
If I'm like driving or something and need something to like for a long period of time, one of my go-tos is like, just pick a live Rush album because there's a bunch of them that they've released. And yeah, whatever version it was of that song, it just really hit me. I was like, whoa.
That's
like,
awesome.
I've known this song, but that version of this song is it just really hit. And then just kind of the way I am, if I'm into a song, I'll just listen to it over and over and over and memorize every aspect of it.
Yes.
I'm not sure if that's healthy or not, but I do it. And yeah, it just came from there.
That's super cool. Dude, like, people need to bring the live recordings back, because you don't really see that anymore. And I was talking about this with Mike when he was like mixing our live stuff, because we made a bunch of mistakes and stuff, and it was like,
that's what makes it live.
And he said that's almost exactly what he said. He was like, dude, the mistakes and stuff, like, it make it better.
Yeah.
He was like, it feels like and he made it really sound like I was there. I was like, wow, I feel like I'm in the audience listening to what the audience was listening to. And yeah, like, we need more of that, I think, in today's day and age, because we've recorded things to death. And don't get me wrong, like, a really like solidly recorded, like, fine-tuned album is an art in its own right.
Yes.
But I think it's like the pendulum swing. Like, we've gone really, it's like in the 80s when like Def Leppard and those guys like engineered everything like super to the nth degree. It's like, it was kind of only natural that you kind of get the grunge guys. Right. Like, they wanted to do something more raw. And I feel like we're already starting to see that with a lot of these indie artists, like just playing things acoustically and singing, and people love that shit. And it's just like, we go in one direction and then we go back, and it's because people want to try things that are new. And I would love to see people bring back live performance recordings too, because I know what you mean when I listen to a band play like a live set. I never liked live recordings when I was younger. I just was like, it sounds so much better when it's studio recording. And then I got this live EP of Ozzy Osbourne. I forget what it was called, but it was Zakk Wylde was on it. It was Just Say Ozzy, I think. Okay. And it was the whole show, just maybe not the whole show. I think they did cut some things, but it was mixed in such a way that it sounded like the whole show. And on a car ride, exactly what you're saying. It's so fun to listen to the live recording, because it's like, let me just go to a little concert in my head, and it's like watching a movie, kind of. And it's different than just listening to the studio tracks, because you're having. It's like a different experience. It really is.
Absolutely. And I think that's where you get a lot of like that human aspect of it.
Yeah.
And some of that extra energy. Yeah. A lot of it comes from the imperfections. And it also depends on what kind of music you're trying to do.
Yes, 100%.
And what your goals are.
Yeah.
Like I'm into some very produced, pop music.
Oh, 100%.
That just sounds like very pristine. I love it. But like Jack White is another like huge influence on me. And he's like the exact opposite of, just raw and feeling.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you play a wrong note or if you're out of tune.
Yeah,
It's the living, breathing entity of it.
Yeah.
And I think that
it's like an animal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's raw. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
It might hurt you a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of certain types of rock music, at minimum, that really kind of make it different and stand out from the crowd.
Yeah, it's not all rock music, but I think for those of us that love to perform on stage and there's a performance aspect, being able to capture that live, it would be such a cool thing to do. I mean, it's talking about Rush, though. I mean, they're just so impressive in terms of the songwriting, but also the skill.
Yes.
And just imagining that they're able to pull off some of these songs live, I'm like, wow, I think I really need to check out some of that live stuff. That sounds like such a trip.
Yeah, highly recommended.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Cool. So Rush was another big one. Wait, talk to me about the Chili Peppers a little bit, though. I'm interested to hear, just your thoughts on Frusciante and kind of your journey with them a little bit.
Yeah, so I went through a huge Chili Peppers phase, like late high school through college.
Okay.
Just loved them, listened to everything. I really gravitated toward the John Frusciante stuff. I mean, some of the earlier stuff with Hillel is cool. Mm-hmm. It's really good. It didn't just kind of hit me the same way. Same thing with Josh Klinghoffer later. Mm-hmm. But I think Frusciante is another one who it was really about the feeling and the vibes. And he was also a very improvisational player. They're a very improvisational band.
Yeah.
But he was definitely part of that. But Chili Peppers performances can be hit and miss depending on Like
Chili Peppers is what?
Chili Peppers performances can sometimes be hit and miss depending on if somebody's state of mind.
Yeah.
But when they're on, man, it's special. And like he's one of those guys whose guitar playing just it has teeth to it. It's so raw and aggressive when he wants it to be, but it's also just like smooth and mellow when it calls for it. Just the way like his right hand attack and his left hand vibrato and the way they work together, just it's got so much feeling in it. And that was like a really big thing was hearing that and like how to incorporate that and kind of it's a lot of with guitar. I think a lot of it is not about just playing the note. It's how you play it.
Yeah.
And, there's some notes that you want to like really, punch out and emphasize and, shake the hell out of it with your left hand.
Yeah.
But there's times to be really sweet and smooth and legato and like knowing that balance and just getting that feeling under your hands is a big thing for me, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. When, like, do you feel a certain amount of pressure, like being the only guitarist in your band, since you have to make sure you're carrying the rhythm and the lead?
I wouldn't
or is that
say
just
so.
something?
I'm just used to it at this point.
That's fair.
And the songs are written with that in mind.
Yeah.
Because like I know what our instrumentation is, so I'm not going to write something that requires multiple parts.
Obviously. But it is a lot on you. I mean, you got to make sure like you're the only guitar, so you got to can't hide behind anybody.
That's true. It also gives a lot of freedom. That was one of the things that we found appealing about doing the 3-piece band was everybody's got some more space to just explore and carry things, but also like get out of the normal lane that the instrument is. Like because I'm the only guitar player, you don't have that second rhythm guitar like sitting under the lead guitar, so that lets the bass do more. Lets the bass be a little bit busier, or like, do some fills or put an upper octave effect on it or whatever.
Yeah.
And Tony's really good about understanding and filling up that space.
Cool.
And then with a drummer like Dave, who can just do whatever he wants to do. Like,
he's great.
It's also like it gives him space to explore with the drums.
Yeah.
Because it's not, I don't feel like we're ever fighting for sonic space or like either fighting or like constrained in these very specific lanes.
Yeah.
Like there's been other projects that I've played with where, you have 6 or 7 instruments going and like that's great for certain styles, certain
100%.
goals.
Yeah.
But when you're doing that, everybody kind of just has their place in the mix and you have to stay in a particular sonic range and a frequency range and it's just a little bit more restrictive on each thing and you can end up making this huge sounding really cool mix but it's just a different way of getting there.
No, that's actually, I've never thought about it that way, but it's 2 ways to attack like the sound, right?
Yeah.
Because my brother, he plays guitar and sings in a couple different bands in Florida, and one of them he plays for is a cover band called Solid Brass, and they have horns, and they have 2 guitars, and they have keys, and they have a bunch of stuff. And the amount of sound that they can get out of each performance is impressive, and it sounds really good. But to your point, that is one end of the spectrum where it's like everybody better be doing the thing, because if you're not, it's you're bleeding in other people's territory, and maybe it's a little bit more noticeable where your lanes are wider, I guess, when there's only 3 of you.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
cool. Huh? I never thought about that.
There's a little bit more room to explore.
Yeah, I never thought about that before. But actually, it makes sense because I sing in the choir at my church, and it's like I've got to stick with the other bass parts. Like I can't be going off harmony. I have to be singing my part.
Yep.
Whereas if they have me do a solo or something, or if I'm singing in Chay, right? It's like I can experiment because I'm the only vocalist or whatever. Although,
like go up instead of going down on the last chorus or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. Very cool. It's so funny. Yeah. Well, I haven't really played an instrument in a band setting in a while, so I guess it's not that surprising that I didn't think about that, but that's a really great point. Cool. What about The other guys are not here, but I am curious to hear about Dave and Tony's sort of musical influences, and maybe, I mean, you don't have to give me like their biographies, but I'm kind of curious about who some of their influences are, and how does all of your guys' influences help to make Careless Flight sound?
They have such diverse influences that
Really?
I feel like if I talk about it, I would be doing them a disservice.
Okay. But you've named, like, for you, and feel free to add more if you think of them, but you've got like Tom Petty, you've got Van Halen, you've got Rush, Chili Peppers. Those fairly diverse, but I guess like there's guitar, rock is kind of all in that. Let's just talk about Dave for a minute. Like, do you know like one or two of his sort of like big influences or his big loves? Is there some crossover there between you two guys?
Definitely a lot of crossover. We like a lot of the same stuff, but he'll also go in some other directions. Like, I'm not a jazz guy.
Oh, he's a jazz drummer.
But I don't know if he's really a jazz drummer, but like he's into jazz.
Wow.
Like, and when some of my friends who are into jazz want to play, like he's right there with them, and, he'll
cool.
like know the standards and stuff that I don't.
Great skill to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he played in a funk hip hop thing.
Oh, that's cool.
Called Doko for a while.
Oh, that's
They're
fun.
awesome. Check them out. But
They have music online.
Yeah, they've got multiple full length albums out.
Oh, no way.
They toured around the country and stuff.
DOKO?
DOCO.
DOCO?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out.
Doko from Raleigh.
And he
NC.
played drums in that group.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But it was a 3-piece. It was kind of like upbeat reggae, hip hop, rock. It's really cool.
That's
it's
wild.
really cool.
Okay. It was a 3-piece.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
We were hanging out with those guys last weekend, actually.
No way.
When we were down
That's
there.
awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. I will definitely check them out. Okay. So he's got, and then, you know, it sounds like you guys have some crossover in the rock stuff. What about Tony?
A lot of rock, but also some, like he'll go into like the electronic world a little bit.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. He's kind of into everything, I think.
Well, you were saying he's like this secret weapon of the band. Like,
Yeah.
what does that mean exactly? Other than what you were saying about being able to program drum parts and kind of help with all that pre-production stuff before you get into the studio.
All of that technical stuff. And just all the behind the scenes stuff that goes into running a band. He's great at all that. Like he does all our graphic design.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah. Like, you know, show flyers, album art, all that kind
very
of stuff.
cool.
But also just some of the boring stuff, like he'll like on the business side, he'll help out with a lot of that.
It's so huge. I never.
And he's a killer bass player.
Yeah. Wow, running on all cylinders. You know, people don't realize how much that logistical stuff is.
Yeah.
Nick has been so great in our group. I told him, because this year we were like, we want to try to like, what do we need to do to kind of like take that next step? And I was telling him, I was like, dude, like, I hope you don't feel this way, but like, please don't feel like you are stepping on anybody's toes if you're like, hey guys, we need to do X, because I know for me, and I hope this doesn't make it sound like I'm lazy, but like if somebody gives me a list of things that I need to do so that we can be better as a band, that's super helpful.
Yeah.
Like it can get overwhelming, at least for me, being like, there's this desert of things like, or desert of possibilities. And it's like, what direction do I go in? So.
Yeah, it's a lot. And it's not everybody's strength necessarily. 'Cause
Yeah.
we all get into it for the art form. And like
yes.
everyone's like, oh, I want to play shows with my friends.
Yeah.
And then there's all this other stuff that goes into making that happen, which is not always the most glamorous or the most fun.
No,
but
yeah.
It has to happen.
Yeah. You got to email venues. You got to respond to emails. You got to make flyers. You got to, well, the graphic design stuff, that's really handy that you have someone that's
merch.
good with that.
Yeah.
Merch. That's right.
He does all the merch. Yeah.
Wow. Dude. Get yourself a Tony in your band, guys.
Yeah.
No, it's yeah.
Well, like that reel that you guys posted, hug your bass player.
Yeah. Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know when Ben was gone for a month, we were like, what is that? Where are we? We are lost. So underappreciated sometimes.
Yes.
but it's super super essential, obviously. Sweet. So all of you guys are bringing that stuff together to make your sound. You've got 2 songs. One of them is coming out. Is it going to be the day of the Pie Shop show?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. What are we at? We're at an hour 20 right now. Dang, I feel like there was something else I wanted to ask you. Or wait, are you trying to get out of here at a certain time?
Nah, I'm
Okay.
gonna go to Fats after this. But
Oh, no way.
That doesn't start till late. So
Are they doing a jam?
yeah, open jam.
Nice. What day is it today? Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Okay. Yeah.
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 Jam night.
Do they do shows there anymore? Or?
They stopped doing shows except for like special events. Like there's a Mardi Gras show, for example.
Okay.
But they're not doing the regular shows anymore. It's the Ryan Parsons open mic on Monday, and then he does the jam on Wednesdays, and then I think they do karaoke like Thursday through Sunday or something.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah. I don't go Thursday through Sunday. I go for Ryan's events.
Yes.
Because they're awesome.
Yes. I've been
Now they
to.
should go to Ryan Parsons events because
Yes.
they're cool.
Yeah. Well, I went to a buddy of mine, Hunter, when he would play guitar and I would sing. We would do like acoustic stuff. I went to one of the Monday night open mics.
Yeah.
And so much fun.
Yeah.
And like you can pull a drummer from the crowd if you want, or a bassist from the crowd, and people are just having a good time, and the musicians are phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's such a fun time. I love it over there. And that venue is, I wish they would do shows there. Like, it's kind of too bad that they don't.
They used to do them on Sundays, and then it just didn't stick.
It might just-
Sunday shows are tough.
Yeah. Well, it might just not be economically feasible for them, honestly. It's hard being, I don't know. What do we have to do to get Northern Virginia kind of in on this independent music scene? Because I feel like it's all cover bands and stuff like that, which is fine. Cover bands are awesome in a bar setting, but it's like, like, what about like the independent artists doing originals and stuff like that? Like, there's such a wealth
cooler.
for it. Well, there's such a wealth of talent in Virginia. I mean, I can think of like 5. Well, I mean, you live in Virginia. Like, I live in Virginia. I think Cherub Tree lives in Virginia. Shallow Planet. There's so many really good bands in Virginia, and I really do think like the public is kind of missing out because they don't have these opportunities to see these original bands like play. I just wish there was a way to get them exposed, and that's why we were talking about like, man, could we do like a free festival or something? Because I think like people would be blown away if they saw some of the local bands play. I was thinking this when I went and saw Do Wrong and Shallow Planet play at Public Bar.
Yeah.
And I was just, everybody, like, I don't know what it was that night, but like everybody left at like 10. And by the time both of the bands went on, there wasn't really anybody there.
That's so sad.
And it was sad. I mean, it was fun for me because it was like me and like, and Clay from Grim Winter and like some of our other friends. And we were just like, yeah, like we're having the time of our life. And aside from it being sad, I'm just like watching Zach and the guys in Shallow Planet play and then Do Wrong after them. And I'm like, these guys are unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, people should be paying money. And I feel that way when I see you guys play, and like, when I see Cherub Tree play, and I saw Kind of Evil play, and it's like, these people should be playing stadiums. You know what I mean? Like, I wish, like, and I know that like the public would be blown away by some of this stuff if they just were in a position to go see it. And trust me, like, I don't expect people to pay $15 and leave their homes and go out, to somebody that they've never seen. Like, that's not something that everybody does. You have to have like a really open mind to do that. But at the same time, it's like, y'all should do that. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't say this because it's like, I want you to come to my shows. I mean, I do say that because I want you to come to my shows. But like, I was there at Public Bar, and I only know like 1 or 2 of Do Wrong songs and Shallow Planets like by heart, or like not by heart, but like I recognize them. Like, oh, I know the name of the song. But like the entire set is like, wow, like this is really, really good.
Banger after banger. Yeah.
And just the stage performance. I mean, Zach from Shallow Planet, his voice is unbelievable. He has such a good voice. And they're another 3-piece. Like you guys, super tight, heavy, great guitar playing. The bass and the drums are super locked in. It's so much fun. One of these days, I don't know. We gotta crack the code of like finding a way to get this stuff out to the public, because I think people, and I feel like we're in a good time for it, because after the lockdowns, people want to be out doing things. Maybe if they don't even realize it, I think they do, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're totally right.
That's my sermon for the day. I don't know. I didn't mean to rant, but
no, you're way good, bro. Yeah, it's always tough to get people out for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, that's always the biggest barrier. Or somebody who's not like in the scene. Like, if I have plenty of friends who, you know, are into this and go to shows, and like that's its own little subculture.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting out past that, I haven't figured it out.
Yeah. I'm imagining like if there's some sort of like outdoor like fair or event where people can go and they can get a drink and they can chill in the summertime, and it's like you just put some of these people that we know on stage playing music, like people just be sitting there enjoying the summer, and it's like, dude, this guy is fucking killing it over here. And it's like, who is this band? Like, I'll look them up type of a thing.
Yeah.
Because trust me, I have plenty of friends who are not musicians, and they get all excited when they think they've discovered some like hidden talent that nobody's heard of. And they're like, dude, have you heard of this group? People love that shit. They love that. And with good reason, because it's like, dude, I found these guys. I think my taste is good in music, and you should listen to them too. It's an exciting thing to stumble across an artist that's amazing and nobody's ever heard of. That's super fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know like what it's going to take, but like I really do think there's a way. If we could just like get people exposed to some of the groups around here, they would be excited to get into some of these bands. I was listening to, again, like, I'm sorry, I gotta stop. The guys in Shallow Planet, I'm gonna think like I'm brown nosing them a little too hard. But I was listening to their album when I was at the gym, because I was like, oh, I'm just gonna listen to something when I was at the gym, and the whole thing is just like, it's a complete banger, and it was mixed really well. I was like, somebody get this music out to people. Like, I don't know. So, but I'm really, really excited for your guys' single, not only because obviously you guys are fantastic musicians and you put on an absolutely great show, but for Mike Whiteman as well. I love that he has such a passion for mixing and producing. Yeah. And what I've heard from him so far has been awesome. I don't know. I think these singles are going to sound pretty killer. So I'm pretty stoked.
I'm thrilled with how it turned out. I think he did a kick-ass job.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm going to have you, what I'll have you do is after we're done, I'll connect you to the Bluetooth, my sound bar, and you can show me some, just me. Yeah. I'll get that little taste. I promise I won't record any of it. It wouldn't sound the same anyway, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Dang. So what's other than the Pie Shop show and the singles coming out, do you have any other like really big things that you're looking forward to this year?
Nothing huge planned yet. We're still looking into stuff for the summer, really. So we're playing at Calypso's in May with Hungry Bug and the People Psychologic.
Oh my God. I got to do that. It's 15 minutes from me.
Oh,
over here. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah. So Sandy's booking over there now.
Oh, she's booking.
Yeah.
I got to email her because that's like a 4-hour slot, isn't it?
Something like that.
Wow.
That's why we have 3 of us.
That's why you have 3 of us. Yeah. I was talking to Do Wrong, and I think they said Do Wrong was like, we had to play at Calypso's, and they did all 4 hours, I think, by themselves. I was like, Dylan, I know Dylan from way back because we were in the same drama club together back in high school. And I was like, how was your voice after that? Like, 4 hours? That's crazy.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. Like,
that's me neither. No way, dude.
There's no way I could sing it. There's no way I could like act excited on stage for that long.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I've been in like long like plays. Like I've done Hamlet. I've done some other really long ones. But like you're not even on stage the entire time for that. So
yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, it's
a lot.
Crazy. That's in May. What day?
I think it's the 16th.
Well, that'll be after our show.
It's a Friday night for sure.
I gotta email her and see if we can get another Calypso show. When did she start doing the booking?
Pretty recently. I think we're May 16, but she booked like March, April, May, Friday nights at Calypso's. So I
might have to reach out to her, but then we would want to find some people to play with too, because 4 hours is way too long.
Yeah. I'm kind of the opinion that I would rather play a shorter set and give it everything and
Yeah.
and have people be like, oh, damn, they're done. Like,
Yes.
I wanted to hear more.
Yes.
Rather than like, okay, I'm over this. I'm going to split.
Nice.
Like that.
Oh, 100%. I totally agree. Yeah. But that's cool to know that Sandy's booking over there because she knows us and yeah, she knows all of you guys too. Oh, I'll have to come to that show. That sounds like a blast.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Nice. Okay. Definitely going to do that. Playing Calypsos. Yeah. Anything else you guys are looking at?
That's the only thing that we've got like announced and booked.
Nice.
So looking into some stuff for the summer. I think we're pretty much out for June. There's just a bunch of travel, other stuff, life. So.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Just trying to get all the people in the same room can be a big exercise of just band coordination.
Yeah.
People don't even realize it's like half of being in a band. It's not even like, oh man, it's so nice to have people who are talented and have good taste in music, but it's like, are you able to be in the same room as me when we play together?
Yeah.
Because it's hard. Coordinating people is, I knew this from my theater days, just like rehearsal schedules are just crazy, like trying to get people in the same room to rehearse for a show. And it's the same thing when you're in a band. It's like everybody's on a different schedule. So you gotta, if you can triangulate that. Thank goodness you only have 3 people in your band,
I was going to say, like, y'all with 5, I cannot imagine.
I am shocked at how well we do. It's amazing. Okay. I think it helps that we're all super passionate about it.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, but it's tough, man. I mean, that's 2 extra people who have weddings that they have to go to and trips and family and all of that stuff. And it's a big thing. So for all of you people out there that want to start a band and you think like, oh, I've only got 3 people or 2 people, that's a plus in terms of scheduling, at least.
In terms of scheduling and splitting the money up.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, I wouldn't want to trade the guys in Chay for anybody in the world, but I'm just saying, like, having fewer people can be nice when it comes to scheduling things, that's for sure. Is there anything else you want to say about the tracks?
Check them out on April 18th when they drop.
Okay, cool. Actually, let's make you a little promo for that. So, Hey, this is Dave with Chay Vicious.
I'm Doug from Careless Flight.
Come see us play at the Pie Shop on April 18th. Please Knock is also playing with us.
It's going to be a single release party for our upcoming release called Monuments, which you'll be able to find on all your favorite streaming platforms.
Doors at 7:30. Show starts at 8:30.
Rock on!
Nice. Let's do it again because I fucked up Please Knock's name.